Welcome back to the TI4 European Qualifiers presented by Monster. My name is Sven, joined by Cinder. We have a little bit of a change of plans here. In fact, a much better matchup than anticipated, Cinderwin.
Yeah, it's been changed over, so the stream you guys, or the game you guys will be watching on this stream right now will be Power Rangers versus Mouse Sports. It was supposed to be next.kz versus MYM, but because the upstairs stream is not done with the Mars TV tournament in China right now, they aren't done yet, so because of that, this game will be shown right now, and then afterwards, hopefully the upstairs stream will be ready to cover the last 2 rounds of the European qualifiers for today. Let's get into the draft. The teams have already got through the first phase of bans and are now looking at the first pick for Power Rangers, which will be the Brewmaster.
Yeah, well, Batrider Invoker, normal bans, Treant, normal ban, Marana, surprised that that wasn't banned by Power Rangers, in fact was banned by Mouse Sports, which we saw last game was dominated, in part thanks to PyCat, of course. But yeah, Brewmaster first pick for PR. And Mouse Sports is going to take AA and 1 to follow. I want to mention that Mouse Sports, I believe, is 3-0. They're undefeated so far. PR is 2-1.
Yep.
Their one loss was to Virtus Pro.
Yes. Which I guess surprised a few people. And Power Rangers, what's interesting about that game was that we covered the Virtus Pro versus Coast game, in which Virtus Pro played a position 4 Brewmaster on NS.
Ugh.
That was the exact same thing. The exact same thing they did against Power Rangers and beat them with it.
Okay.
So maybe we'll see PR try to do the same thing, or the Brewmaster is going to be a core. That remains to be seen, of course. So, what do you think about the first pick, Ancient Apparition from Mouse Sports in this? I think that hero has kind of fallen off from the European scene.
It has, and Nature's Prophet second. I mean, there's a lot of great heroes available here. Yeah, we want Zeus, we want Spectre, we want Gyro with Aghanim Scepter.
Clockwork.
There's got to be somebody, but nah, I wouldn't put Clockwork Rocket. That's kind of meh. That's a little underwhelming here. Who's a 5th hero we can put there? So we have Zeus, Spectre, Nature's Prophet, Ancient Apparition, and who are we missing? You're just going to be silent?
10 seconds.
Silencer ult?
Okay.
I don't know.
Like Stampede from Centaur?
Yeah,
okay,
perhaps.
that's a little bit better. Let's do that. Let's do Centaur.
Okay.
But do you actually think that's what they're doing? Ancient Apparition, Nature's Prophet, like you talked about, not exactly the most typical first 2 picks, especially with all these heroes available right now.
They definitely have to ban global, which they will. This is a very obvious setup for Mouse Sports to transition into that, and what PR should be looking at here is the opening Mouse Sports is taken is with 2 fragile heroes who do have global potential, so either you have a way of dealing with the global, or you just avoid having to play against it. And I think the most important thing is that they ban out the Spectre, which I believe PyCat does play, and at least Mouse Sports 2 players, Fata and Paz, who used to play on Sigma International, like to run this global strategy once in a while. So they are familiar with the concept and how to play it. I think PR will just grab a support right now, and overall solid support like maybe a Shadow Demon. I don't know if they play Visage, which I was expecting to see in some games from some European teams, or maybe they open up into, well, I don't know what's really that good against Mouse's heroes. Actually, Nyx wouldn't be too shabby here against both AA and Prophet.
Yeah, we've seen that first pick,
or Sand
first
King
2 picks
is available.
Before. That's true. Sand King's been banned off and on as well. I do like the Silencer idea, though, for Mouse Sports, or if not for them, then for Power Rangers, or to ban out for them, because against Brewmaster is pretty good hero, I would say, and of course can transition him into a hard carry late game, so you don't necessarily have to pick the Spectre in this lineup. They're going to go for Rasta. Probably a support Rasta. I can't remember the last time we saw a mid-solo Shadow Shaman, and the main reason for that, well, I should say Shadow Shaman very good at lane pushing, very good at tower pushing, but just has no survivability in like a 1v1 matchup, especially considering there's so many heroes that would dominate him.
I would agree. It's probably going to be a support here from PR, since the opening Brewmaster might want to go mid already, and secondly, maybe they can get away with running a kind of weak lane support. Like, I would say Shadow Shaman in comparison to other supports is not the strongest lane support, but with AA and Prophet pick from Mouse Sports, they do have the potential of running an aggressive trial lane, but I don't think they will do it. And if they do, maybe Power Rangers can adapt by taking a carry in that lane who's very mobile, like a Weaver or something along those lines. So
forgot to mention Lycan.
Lycan is...
as a potential
That's true.
global hero, but Mouse banned it themselves.
I'm really surprised with Power Rangers' bans here. They're letting Mouz get the global if they want. They banned Wraith King and Doom, so Spectre, Zeus go through. I think Mouz are going to go for it. I really do. When you get this kind of opening to run a global strategy, and of course it is best of one and it is the round robin. Should you fail, it's not the end of the world. But it's just such a classic way of playing and a strategy that is indeed very powerful, especially when you're playing against Power Rangers as heroes. Brewmaster and Shadow Shaman, if you get pickoffs early on before they start grouping up, you never get to do the Death Ball push. But then again, you can also flip it around and say, well, if Power Rangers do manage to group up for that Death Ball push, how good is the global strategy really when you get those team fights? So
Mouse Sports take out the Darkseer, and they're going to get Enigma, so not quite global, although Midnight Pulse is slowly getting there over time. But obviously we saw this, it was last game, right?
Yeah.
The black hole from Enigma, and honestly I wouldn't say it had a huge impact on the game. There was a couple beautiful black holes. It weren't necessarily beautiful in the fact that they cut a lot of heroes, but the one or two heroes, especially Stark in particular, just kept taking him out of the fights over and over. And Ember Spirit is going to be the pick for Power Rangers, and this is a hero that's dropped off quite a bit since the nerf of 6.81. Seen a little bit more play as of late, but I know that you're a fan of this hero as far as late game is concerned, because as far as the nerfs overall, once you get to late game, you really don't feel them.
This is also just overall a really good game for Ember so far. The one thing this hero cannot deal with is, or there are two things rather. You don't want to get dominated in lane, because he is a snowball type of carry. And secondly, single target stuns and silences lock him down very nicely. But Mouse Sports don't really have that. They have Enigma's Malefice, and they have Black Hole, but if you're smart with Ember Spirit, you just don't get Black Hole. Right. He has so much mobility. He has an easy time of doing significant damage without committing himself into a bad position. And maybe, yeah, I like this idea from Power Rangers. I'm surprised with how little Ember Spirit has been picked. I mean, sure, he got nerfed, but before the nerfs, he was almost always a first phase ban pick, and he just completely fell off. And I don't think the nerfs were that big.
I agree. I'd be surprised if Mouse doesn't get Puck in this draft. It's great against both Ember and Brewmaster in particular. Just that silence, any kind of silence actually. I mean, even a silencer like we talked about would be great. Because, well, Brewmaster we can talk to death about why silence is good against him. Can't get his ulti off, which is the main reason for picking that hero. But Ember Spear in particular, his mobility is the reason that he is such a good hero. Obviously, he can initiate from decently long range thanks to the Sleight of Fist Searing Chains combination, but it's really his ulti that allows him to live through fights. And Razor is going to be the pickup for Mouse. So this is turning into a, I would say this is a pretty big push lineup overall. Ancient Apparition is there for team fight potential and Chilling Touch for right clicks, but Nature's Prophets push, Enigma's push, Razor with Ag's push. Against Power Rangers lineup, how do you feel this matches up, as Lich is going to be the fourth?
Mouse Sports turn to ban.
This is going to be a really weird game. I think that's my analysis.
Great.
So far. So there could be a couple of reasons Power Rangers are getting the Lich here. First of all, Mouz look to be playing very greedy as far as the lanes go, so maybe Lich can win a lane almost on his own. When there's both a Prophet and an Enigma, and Ancient Apparition as the solo lane support, then you can get away with a lot of stuff with a Lich in this game. So I like that idea from Power Rangers. And secondly, Ice Armor is going to be huge for defending buildings against this lineup. It's so much physical damage from summoned units, which the slow on attack speed and the armor for tower should really not be underestimated here. And
of course, not to mention the mini stun from the ult, canceling Enigma's ult, which
that is true.
The last game, Mouse Sports versus
Coast?
God, that name, I don't know why. Monomaniacs. They had real trouble stopping the Enigma, although we talked about it didn't really make that big of a deal in the late game, but they had to resign to using like the troll traps because they had nothing to actually cancel that. So they have that at the very least. And obviously a Lich Enigma combo together is great, but against it is actually not too bad either, because if you have Enigma Black Hole initiation, typically the ally heroes for the Enigma are going to group up to try to get those kills, and the Lich ult could potentially deal quite a bit of damage. Puck is going to be the last pick for Mouse, so I guess not too big of a surprise there.
I am still...
Is this a Sand King coming up for PR?
I think that could work very well here. And as mentioned with the Lich, just the lanes that Mouz are going to be running, I think the one trap that Power Rangers should be careful they don't run into is that they just lose the laning stage really hard, not because they can't fight, but because they misinterpret the way Mouz are going to be putting the lanes, and then they just start losing towers really, really early on against treants and conversions. It's a classic play that you come out of nowhere and suddenly you have these summons, and the enemy team doesn't have time to respond. That's just a tower gone. So will be interesting to see what Power Rangers do. I think Sand King, like you said, could be good here. There's a lot of opportunities for him to take team fights with the lineup that they do have. But at the same time, maybe it's overkill. You already have the Brewmaster, you already have the Ember Spirit doing significant AoE damage and controlling, so does Lich.
Okay.
But I mean, why not? Get the Tide as well.
Is this an offlane Tide then? I thought Lich might be the offlane here, but I guess not.
I think that in this game, if Mouz do not execute very well early on, they're going to hit a point in the mid-game when team fighting is going to be ridiculously difficult for them, and then they'll have to deal with an Ember Spirit super late game without a single counter. That is going to be a problem. So it's kind of the mirrored situation, if you will. Not exactly mirrored, but kind of comparable to the game Mouz just played against Coast, where Coast had to do well in the early game. And didn't really... Yeah, Coast didn't perform well enough in the early game there, and after that, Mouz just managed to take a late game. This could be the same type of scenario here, I feel, with PR's mid and late game. We're going to see that.
Alright, let's go over the lineups.
So... Let's have a look at the players here, as I cannot bring up what you want. There we go. So I just kind of got thrown on camera for a moment since we have a problem, so let me just wing it here. So yeah, go ahead, introduce me.
Alright, so for Mouz Sports, we have Pycat playing the Nature's Prophet, so not the typical one role, I guess. Fata on his puck mid. Mids are going to play Enigma. Razor played by MSS, and Pos on the Ancient Apparition.
And for PR, we've got the Shadow Shaman played by FNG. Tidehunter will be handled by Cheshire Cat. Looks like he might be going in the offlane solo Tide on the Dire side. Brewmaster will be handled by Scandal in the mid lane. And then we have J4 on the Lich, looking to help out a bit in the offlane from the get-go. Finally, Moon on the Ember Spirit for the top lane.
We have two heroes that can deny creeps right off the bat. You don't see that very often. In fact, Enigma is not doing that, surprisingly enough. What is this all about? Worrying about the wards right now, and the jungle trying to make sure that nobody wards his camps, I suppose, but he's not going to be denying any creeps, at least not yet, although he might do it now.
Looks like he might go and just steal one out from the mid lane. Nope.
Fail. Well, another 10 seconds to go before the creeps start. I think it might be too late.
Depends what camp he gets here. If he gets lucky with the camp, this could be a good decision. Let's see what he manages to random here. So he does
potato.
Does get the Ursas.
Great.
This is pretty good. So he needs to be a little careful with the clap here, but with some good micro, Misery is going to be doing this just fine. Now he needs to tank with the hero, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Textbook jungling right here from the get-go from Misery. This is the perfect split. So good job by him, and off to a good start in the jungle, of course. I'm hearing a bit of a static link as MSS steals quite a bit of damage from Cheshire Cat, but this laning from PR in the beginning, I think they're going to get so much out of this bottom lane with this Lich Tide that I cannot imagine Razor AA doing anything to at all. And even when Cheshire Cat has all his damage stolen, he can still last hit with the Anchor Smash. So that lane is going to be really good for them. And how much is Pycat going to get in that off lane with Prophet against Ember and Shadow Shaman?
Without Enigma coming out and helping, they have absolutely no stuns in that bottom lane. I mean, you're not going to set up a cold feet at all. Really, all you have is Chilling Touch and the right-click damage of that plus static link. So I think you're right. PR is going to get what they want out of that lane. And then mid lane, what do you think about the Puck versus Brewmaster matchup? I mean, I know that mid game, like once we get a blink on Puck, his main role is to initiate on top. Oh, actually, he might be able to get this courier for Johns. Not going to go for it, though. That cuddly TI4 courier not going to go down this time. A lot of compendium owners with their faces, or I should say, palming their face. Palming their face? What am I saying? Face palming because they really want that stretch goal, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the risk of going for the courier there is he needs to hit it twice, and he would be jaunting right under the tier 1 tower. Scandal would have mana for Clap and Haze, I think. And then you risk missing an attack, and you will probably die no matter what if you kill the courier, and that is just not worth it. So I completely agree with him not going for the play just then. Bottom lane, good harassment coming out from PR.
Wow.
Actually, I think they just Gush and Nova two different targets, as MSS is actually almost getting.
If he was on the outer ring, that might have been a kill, actually.
Yeah.
So Razor a little bit too close. I feel like that could have been first blood for Mouz. Perhaps underestimating the damage from... Oh, we have the opportunity to go for it again. Is he baiting this? Is that exactly what Scandal is doing? I mean, Scandal is like a legit mid, so I'd be surprised if he's being a little bit careless here in mid, but haven't seen that too often.
As far as the matchup goes in mid, to answer your question, I think this is a pretty even one. Brewmaster with the new buff on Drunken Brawler has an easier time getting some single last hit once in a while with the crit, of course, and apart from that, it's just a bottle lane. He will Thunderclap, Puck will Orb, they will both get farm, they both have chances of getting runes because they can push out the wave, and so far it is also completely even. Scandal's 18-3, Fata is 18-1, so... The more interesting thing about this mid lane is that arguably Puck is Fata's best hero, and if he does not get locked down in lane, he has a tendency to have a huge mid-game impact when he is given this hero. So, Scandal has to control him very well in these teamfights, I think, although... Oh, if you look over PR's lineup, perhaps an early game Blink Dagger and Puck is not the biggest problem, as they have some decent ways of dealing with it.
Top lane, Searing Chains, but here comes the TP for Pycat. That will probably force PR. But actually, another TP, this time from MSS. Static Link is there. And, oh, Ember Spirit not able to go down as of yet. That was a nice Searing Chains, but the first blood going the way of Ancient Apparition on top of Shadow Shaman's face. So Mouse Sports getting the better of that exchange. Very nice TPs.
It's just dove way too far.
Malefice mid lane. And a TP support from Nature's Prophet. Where's the Sprout? Doesn't have enough mana. The right clicks are there, but you're seeing the Drunken Haze come into effect. Scandal on the
he's
run.
even going to get a regen.
He's going to get the regen. Here comes... Oh, doesn't look like Puck's going to initiate any further, so... Pretty lucky rune, to say the least.
Yeah. He's going to be happy with that. Getting back to mid lane and basically playing on like nothing just happened. But in that top lane, you can't dive this far if you're PR. It was way too easy to get the TP support in. Mouz made the right decision, got in the Razor as well as the AA and surrounded them there. So exactly how you deal with that type of overextension, but at the same time, they lost one hero, but the entire bottom lane for Mouz for 1 minute. So maybe that's not the worst trade possible here for PR. They got a lot of time here in the bot lane, and now Pycat will be going bottom.
Scandal so low. He's going to evade some attacks here from Fata, but here comes FNG. He has the Shackle, but doesn't look like he wants to go any further because Scandal is so low. He would basically go down to just about an illusory orbit. Yeah, NSS is now top. Static linking a little bit of Ember Spirit's damage, which obviously sucks for him since Sleight of Fist is his main source of...
damage. Okay, never mind.
That actually wasn't intended, but I appreciate the thinking that I was actually thinking about that. Titan level 5 at this point.
I expect too much.
Anchor smash on some creeps, and he will back up as of now. But you're right, Nature's Prophet. The one thing I do like about Nature's Prophet... Oh, I might have Malefice here on FNG. Not a whole lot of support at Nature's Prophet. I was just about to bring that up. The loser is going to hit. Down goes Rasta. Scandal taking Black Hole directly to the face. He's not even going to get his ultimate off. In fact, Dream Coil was used just as a precautionary measure here. Tidehunter and Lich, they're going to find Pycat, but the ward is there to scout
I don't think
them out.
Scandal realized that Enigma got level 6, and I think Misery got level 6 from the first kill, so he might not have seen the level up animation there and gone a little bit greedy. Top lane. Moon's taking some really significant damage. He's
wow.
He had more than enough time to get out of that, I think.
He did.
Just underestimated the damage output here from MSS with the 2 points in Static Link and 2 points in Plasma Field. He did just enough damage to secure that kill, and Mouse now 4-0. We talked about before the game how good it was going to, how important it was going to be that they got off to a good early game. They've got all of that and more. 2,500 gold lead, and this is without taking a tower at 6 minutes. Experience is 2k as well, so I think
sounds pretty bag overall. Apparently,
so
wow. Look at the net worth is crazy this early. Holy jeez. Well, apparently Fata has a very small bladder, but luckily for him, he carries a bucket. And doesn't have to leave his room. That's the beauty of gaming.
You don't think he's peeing in a sound bag?
Perhaps. He's hooked up to colostomy bag and all that good stuff. Anywho. Mouse Sports, as I am disgusting LD on the camera right now. He's vomiting into a bucket himself. Should be on pause very shortly here, but Mouse Sports, of course, considered the favorites of this qualifiers. PR, I was picking for number 2 as a kind of a dark horse. I feel like most people think that they're top 4, and despite being 2-1, they have a good shot of getting that top 4, although it is relatively early, obviously. But what are your thoughts on, because we haven't talked about this yet on stream, what are your thoughts on PR in this qualifiers going in?
Yeah, I think I chose them for my second place team, actually. And now, after having seen some of the games, I can't say it with full confidence yet, but I've been really impressed by Coast. And
yeah,
so far in this game, PR has not been playing up to par with Coast's decision-making, I feel. Perhaps their strategizing is better. I think this is less of a strategic loss so far for PR than it was for Coast in the game we saw there. And we're only 6 minutes in, so this can easily change, and PR has great mid-game. But just the overall execution here, PR, we talked about in the pre-show, are kind of a... have some hits and some misses, but have generally had hits lately. So I had pretty high hopes for them, and even put them over Rock's Kiss, but
yeah, we're going to make use of this haste room. He's going to be heading towards top, as you said. MSS taking the shackle to the face. Here comes the Thunderclap, along with initiation from Ember Spirit, and blowing up are both Razor and Ancient Apparition. So PR is now on the board and in spades. Expect Panda to go back mid very shortly, as it's being pushed here by Enigma.
Yeah, Prophet's going to port in as well. Level 3
oh
on the Nature's... What's that called again? Nature's Call. I was about to call Nature's Attendance. That's the heal of Enchantress. And now Tide will port in to defend. So good rotations around the map from both teams. Seeing a little bit of a defense forced out from Mouse Sports. And I think Cheshire Cat is going to be a really important player in this game. He's going to have early Arcane Blink. He already has the Arcane Boot 7 minutes in, so that offlane for PR definitely paid off. They did get to pay quite a bit for it, but with those 2 rebuttal kills they just got in the top lane, I think PR are completely back into this.
He's going to get it around the same time as
What
Puck.
does Prophet have?
So that's going to be really good.
This Midas for Pikehead is not going to be early. He went for phase boots first, which I really like. Some people go just brown boots into Midas if they're having a hard game, but he can have much more of an impact right now with those phase boots. And depending on when Pikehead comes online, I don't think Razor can handle this alone in terms of a late game situation. There's just too many things for him to deal with, too many problems. And the static link, which has been great so far against Moon, will just fall off in late game because he can just outrange it by casting a Fire Rim and jumping around. So
right. I mean, Ember Spirit definitely the hardest carry in this specific game as far as like extreme late game is concerned. But the good thing about PR, they have really good team fight. Like really, they Tidehunter Ravage into a Lich ult, theoretically speaking.
Yep.
Rasta wards are kind of underestimated for, like we talk about it all the time, for taking Roche, for taking towers, but they do splash damage. So if you have like a small AoE area where they're attacking, it's going to do some significant damage in fights. And not to mention Brewmaster ult, which is just ridiculous.
PR's 5-man for me is superior, and it's superior to a team that has Puck, Enigma, and AA and Prophet. That kind of says how powerful. That tells the story about how powerful their 5-man is. But I don't think Mouse wants to teamfight. I think they will be doing whatever they can to split push around the map with the Prophet and with the Enigma Eidolons as soon as they start becoming really powerful. And the question is, can PR control the lanes well and deal with that split push? Ember is one of the great heroes for doing it with. If you drop the Remnant, she can TP around the lanes, deal with the push, and jump back to your Remnant. And I think Moon will have to do just that in this game.
Enigma almost done with the mech. I almost said BKB. That would be pretty crazy, but the mechanism. Yeah, about to finish that up. And Lich now has his ult. God, keep saying his and her. What is the deal with this? I used to call her him. I used to call Lich her in Dota 1 because he had that robe. It was the Lich King or whatever. But
Kel'Thuzad? How's Kel'Thuzad a her?
I'm just saying. She had like good lord. He had a very feminine robe on in Dota 1, and it has stuck with me throughout.
He was a very masculine character, though.
Hey, women can have masculine voices.
That's true. Legion Commander.
Back to Legion Commander again.
So, Scandal will be getting his Blink Dagger in 50 gold in the mid lane. Pretty much the same timing as the mech from Enigma. Now, the question is, which one of those items is more important?
Which ones?
Mech for Enigma versus Blink for Brewmaster. They have them at the same time, basically.
So it doesn't matter which one's more important because they get them at the same time. But
no, but which one will have the higher impact is what I'm trying to get at. Use your brain!
I don't know. It depends on the situation, Cinderin. Like, you can't really theory craft to that degree, I feel like. I like Blink on Brewmaster.
Now you're just using my words against me. That's not fair.
I feel like Enigma can have a very large role in these fights without a mechanism. You don't necessarily have to have it if you have the right position. Brewmaster, on the other hand, like, to get off a Thunderclap, you have to be in the midst of things. You know, and your ultimate's going to be kind of underwhelming if you don't get it off in good position. MSS going to get chased here. There's the Frost Blast from Lich. Here comes the TP. Cheshire Cat getting... Oh, he's going to get Dream Coil. There's the Ravage to follow, though. He's probably going to go down one way or another. He does to the Waning Rift. There's the phase shift from Puck. Scandal getting some damage stolen from MS. A lot of damage, actually. There's the Lich ult bouncing a bit onto creeps. A lot of it's going to be tanked by the Nature's Prophet. Treants, Fata, blinking out. Nice initiation here from Moon. Look at all that damage from Ember Spirit. He's going to get 1. Probably end up getting 2. Actually gets stunned from the cold feet. How often do you see that? 4 dead for PR and only 1 loss for Mouz. And Boss lives with that level 1 cold feet.
That sprout from Pycat was amazing. He
and that
sprouted
gush
the
from
moment
Tide was
the
not
split.
very good right there.
The moment the split came out, he sprouted the ground. So all 3 of the Brewmaster units were just stuck in this sprout for the like boom. The entire 3 seconds they were just locked in place and couldn't do anything. That had a huge impact on that fight.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I don't know, it seemed like PR in that initiation weren't really completely sure what they wanted to do. They committed so many single target abilities onto a Razor who's actually maxed unstable current, which I don't know if they're aware of, but they committed so much into, they basically just threw away spells, and because of that, Mouz just easily won that fight. Now FNG will be getting killed in the top lane here. Good TP from Pycat.
At least he's level 6.
Yeah, he could have perhaps dropped the wards and tried to take the tower, but not going for the gamble. And this is really, really big for Mouz. So this early game was starting to look fairly even. They just took a big step forward. We'll perhaps be getting a tower sometime soon in the mid lane as well. With both Ravage and Split on cooldown, I actually think they can secure it.
Blast again,
oh,
Waning
nice,
Rift.
nice.
Oh my goodness, Tide gets destroyed. Actually, Malefice is going to prevent the denial
yeah,
here
Black
from
Hole is
Scandal.
available.
Scandal has Invisibility Rune though, so he will walk away just fine. And you're right, the Brewmaster ult was very underwhelming, and I guess it was because of Try. I actually missed that in the fight itself, but Brewmaster ults are so important in these fights. You have to really use them to their highest extent. And Nature's Prophet, I guess I wouldn't really call him a counter, but maybe he goes for Orchid to become an actual counter to the Brewmaster here.
Could be a decent choice. The alternative for Mouz is to try to end the game around the mid game with a couple of Necronomicons if they want to do that.
Blast so often here. Waning Rift in the Dream Core. The AA Blast will miss, but Moon is still going to take significant amount of damage. Only has 1 in Flame Guard at the moment. He will Spirit out, Fire Remnant out, and Mouz Sports will regroup, I suppose.
Yeah, they used 2 ultimates there, so
top tower is under attack.
They're going to be a little bit cautious here. And Ember Spirit will come back with full HP, so Mouz, if they choose to stay here and fight for this tower, I think they're going to be absolutely crushed. So, in my opinion, making the right call, backing out, cutting their losses. The gank did not work. We wasted a couple of spells, but it's not the end of the world. Let's go back to farming.
Yeah. What do you think? Oh, Tidehunter's going to find Misery, but we'll think better of actually engaging upon him. What do you think Enigma goes for? Blink next? Or BKB. We talked about Chain Frost being able to cancel that. Even a Linken's might be a good choice to prevent that at some point. But obviously I think BKB is probably first priority just because Tidehunter's Ravage
I agree.
being so much easier to be used. But
either he gets that or gets a pipe, which is really good against the PR's lineup too.
Well, so the thing we always talk about when Enigma's picked, it doesn't necessarily... we talk about the black hole so much. It's really the zoning effect of having the black hole in your hand. It's kind of like if you use it and it's wasted, which is a huge deal, the opposing team can actually take advantage of that to a high degree, as opposed to just holding on to it and forcing the other team to perhaps position themselves in a way that they don't want to.
Yeah, I like to talk of it in the sense that when Enigma has a BKB, it's like he's pushing a wall in front of him, and you have to move away from that wall because else it's going to hit you, and that is the black hole. When he has the BKB, he can do that with a lot of confidence, apart from against the Lich, of course, who can stop it. So even though you don't get the black hole off at all, you can win fights just by popping BKB and walking in, just by controlling the positioning of the fight and putting pressure. So for that reason, I would like him to get BKB here as well, but like you said, Lich, with good positioning, can make a big play, and maybe they just let Enigma black hole them, knowing that Lich can stop it. But then at the same time, you have to be careful. On the enemy side, there is a Puck who can blink silence your Lich, take him out of the fight. Maybe the Prophet also is going to be able to snipe Lich at the back end of the fight or something like that, so they have a couple of concerns. But for now, PR will be trying to get a gank on the Puck with a good lane ward here, but Fata is being very, very cautious, and FNG will probably not be able to go in here. Oh, Willy. Fata goes just a little bit forward here. FNG might try for this. Yep.
A blast
actually,
on
the
its
AO
way.
is missing, and this could be Fata's death right here.
Fata's gonna blink away.
Whoa.
Feeling FNG's presence in the shadows.
That's Spidey singles.
The Spidey singles, so good.
Spidey singles tendling right there.
Tide has blinked, and honestly, we're talking about PR having, I'm sorry, Mouz having good mid-game. the fact that they kind of need to force it, at least to some degree, but PR just has such good initiation. It's going to be tough to go against. Just with a couple Blink Daggers. I mean, what can you really do? Blink now on Enigma, so opting not to go for that BKB. Of course,
This
one of the few heroes that Kraken Shell doesn't really matter against, if that makes sense. Oh, Fata finding... Oh, Lich gets destroyed.
easy snipe.
These AA blasts have been really well played this game.
Setting it up very nicely here. And I want to say he's not getting this blink for the black hole. I want to say that. I think he's getting it for the Malefice. Just so he can blink Malefice and initiate a fight and put them once again put them in a good position. Actually,
blink black hole Scandaloo goes down. Fata's gonna be able to blink out with. Okay, I overextended my voice. Take over. You're supposed to keep talking,
Dire's
Synderen.
bottom tower is under attack.
Talk, Synderen. I'm okay. I'm okay, guys. I don't know why that screwed my voice up so much, but we're good. Ember Spirit working towards his drums and Battle Fury, apparently, as Synderen has not found his voice yet. It is 12-3 advantage.
I'm just enjoying this a lot.
I know you are.
It's just torturing you.
This
I'm a good
smile
friend,
on
I
your
know.
face, it's really disturbing, by the way.
But
the
the moment after I say he got the blink to blink Malefice, he actually blinked Black Holes, you guys. So as always, my calls are absolutely perfect. But what I want to say is this blink, often when you get blink on Enigma, it's to blink Black Hole in a team fight where you know that there's not that many counters stopping you. There are so many counters on PR's side that he cannot reliably do that. What he can do with the blink is he can blink Malefice, make the fight open, then Puck gets to be the secondary initiator, and then the AA ultimate can also easily land. So it gives them more options to play around with, which I think is a really nice choice. So for me, it's either the blink for that reason, or he would get the BKB for the reason of being the black hole. So.
Mouse going to group up, push this tier 1, and it might be a trade overall, as PR is still at bottom lane, but
PR
some
might
TPs
want to
will
try
be
to
here
defend
to
this.
defend. Yeah, Moon is here
Dire's structures
with
are
his full
fortified.
arsenal of abilities.
Radiant's
Tidehunter
bottom tower
ready for the
is
Ravage.
under attack.
If the right opportunity arises.
It might right now. He does have the blink.
Oh, here comes the Blink Anchor Smash, but he gets silenced right off the bat. Static Link to follow. As Ember Spirit got blown up, apparently. Static Link still going. He stole a lot of damage, but alas, damage isn't too important. Actually, Cheshire Cat might be stuck here. Has the Blink, no TP though. They're going to find him with this Illusory Orb, and he's not going to jump, apparently. Thinks better of it for whatever reason. Cheshire Cat will have Blink off cooldown in a couple seconds. Still has no TP, obviously.
Plasma. Oh!
Oh my god, that was actually really close.
Oh, he got stuck again.
Yep, he's still stuck. Illusory Orb will hit again.
This time he did.
And they finally have vision. Waning Rift will finish him off. So 15-3 advantage for Mouse as PR trades 3 deaths for a tier 1 bottom.
Radiant's bottom
I guess
tower
that's
is under attack.
good for Mouse.
Now, what's interesting about this game is that Ember Spirit is getting sniped off, but this has nothing to do with his nerfs in this version. He's just getting completely caught by surprise. He chose to go for a skill build where he has 1 point in Flame Guard against a lineup that's so heavily magic damage based.
Right.
I'm not sure it was the right choice in this game. I think if he maxes the Flame Guard and plays to his strengths in this matchup, he could play really with a lot of confidence and go in and soak up some damage, deal some damage too, and enable his team to team fight. But he's always just getting sniped off before the fights even begin, and then PR are like, okay, well, we can't fight, our carry's dead. Brewmaster can blink in and we can get a Ravage off, but we're already 5-on-4. The enemy team has elusive heroes in the Prophet's Teleport, the Blink Daggers on Enigma and Puck in general. It's just too difficult for PR, and they're just getting so outplayed.
You know what's funny about this game is, as you guys can see, that Dagon is picked up by Fata now, but we talked about in the last game how much we didn't like the Brewmaster support, right? Well, this is not a support scandal, as he's going to get blown up again to the Dagon this time, though. We've seen 1 ultimate from him in a 20-minute game as a solo mid, and that ultimate was absolutely useless, but of course that has a lot to do with PyCat being really great on Nature's Prophet. We've seen 1 ultimate, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
Initiation here on Fata. He's going to get shackled. Anchor Smash to fall. Looks like he will go down. So nice kill from PR. There's the Ravage on 3 heroes. Pass, as well as Misery in a lot of trouble
nice
here.
chain.
The Chain Frost cancels the Enigma Black Hole yet again.
On a
3 for 1
war
exchange.
trap.
War Trap on MSS. He's going to be able to get out pretty easily, though. And the right clicks follow. FNG gets destroyed. So 3 for 2 in the end. Might not be the end here. Searing Chains. Applied to MSS. He's playing pretty cocky here. Here comes the blinking Anchor Smash. Is going to completely whiff, but MSS is going to get destroyed thinks to the Sleight of Fist. PyCat thinking about coming in, but we'll just take tier 2 instead.
It's like PR just decided to play twice as good. Out of nowhere. That was a really nice teamfight execution from them.
It cost them Scandal, and I feel like this is something that should be mentioned continually, that we've seen one Brewmaster ult. Of course, that fight broke out thanks to his death. They ended up getting a decent trade out of it in the end, obviously, but Brewmaster needs to have some effect here in the mid-game.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, God.
No.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Ancient Apparition. You have eyes everywhere.
And in addition to that, just they traded a tier 2 tower for that team fight, so all in all, not that amazing for PR, but at the very least, they got a team fight, right? That's what's important to hold on to here. And Moon got a lot out of that. He now has his Battle Fury, and we said that if this goes late, he's going to be absolutely devastating and very hard to deal with for Mouz. So
how do you feel about the Battle Fury this game?
I think it's a good choice because he's going to have to farm really hard. This is not a fighting Brewmaster game, at least that's not... Not Brewmaster, Ember Spirit game. At least that's not how it's been shaping up so far. So Moon will have to farm, and Ember with Battle Fury farms pretty quickly. Has good mobility, of course, with the Remnants, and can farm the wave decently with Sleight of Fist and Battle Fury. They just need to stall. He needs to farm, they need to stall, and buy time on the map.
Along with the Shackle, Ember Spirit's going to dodge the AA ult, actually, and Fate taking a lot of damage, and he will go down in the end, but it will cost them a Rasta, which I guess PR will take any day of the week, but not when Ember Spirit gets killed as well, as MSS is here with all the right-click damage. Tidehunter not able to do anything about it. Pycat TP's in, and Lich trying to TP out, and actually might be able to get it. Oh, the right-click damage is too much, and again, Brewmaster nowhere to be seen.
I don't know, this is just so weird. He's like the best teamfight hero they have, and he's just never involved. He was somewhere else. He's got good gold on the Brew. I mean, Scandal is farming a lot, but he's not there when he needs to be, and I'm not sure if it's miscommunication or if they just get surprised by how fast Mouz are at reacting, but they just seem to get outnumbered every single time. Apart from that one fight here, where they actually had even numbers and ended up winning the fight because of that. That was without a split. With the split, they have decent chances, but they're not ever getting the fight on their terms. Right?
Of course, keep in mind that Brewmaster's spirits do get stuck in Black Hole, which wasn't originally the case when... I don't know if it was like that in Dota 1, actually, come to think of it. Okay, so it wasn't like that, but... so that's not the greatest counter, although if you position your pandas or the spirits correctly, the Whirlwind is amazing against Enigma once before he gets the BKB. Something I want to mention about the Ember Spirit build, not that it matters too much in this case, I kind of prefer Mjolnir this game, especially when you have a Tidehunter. Somebody that's really tanky that can be in the front lines to apply that static charge to. You're still going to get the same farm overall with Mjolnir over the Battle Fury. And I think like if it was like an Enigma on their team that kind of brings people together, the Battle Fury might make a little bit more sense because it's a little bit more consistent. But and yeah, probably not that big of a deal at the end, but it's just something to think about.
It's true, with the buff to Maelstrom in Mjolnir that allows it to proc multiple lightnings before one of them ends. That could actually work here for Moon. That made it a lot better of an item on Ember Spirit, who hits so many attacks in one go. Yeah. And if you have two or three, what are they called? Static... It's not called Static Charge, that's the one you cast on yourself, right? It's just called Chain Lightning? Okay, so if you get 2 or 3 charges of Chain Lightning on the same bounce, that does a lot of damage to every other hero than the Razor and the BKB, so... I would agree that could have been another nice choice, but I won't really fault him for getting the Battle Fury either. Both of them are good decisions. That demonic conversion cast right there might have just saved Misery's life. That was so clutch.
He's going to back up. He has an ultimate orb. Is that? Oh, actually we have initiation here at bottom lane.
I've seen this
Cheshire Cat taking a
before.
lot of damage. Ult's going to miss thanks to the newly picked up 4-step, but Nature's Prophet is there. And will blow up too, actually, surprisingly. But the ultimate orb, actually on Puck as well. We're going to see some Lincolns here against that Lich ult, or you think it's going to be like a sheep stick for Enigma in particular?
I think it's going to be... Oh.
I don't think it's going to be a sheep.
There's already a Hex on the Nature's Prophet, so I think Enigma... Wait, maybe they just get 3 scythes. I mean, there's an ultimate orb on both Puck and Enigma. Maybe they go scythe up 100% and they just start team fighting and hexing out every single target that's causing them trouble just one at a time. I don't think that would be a bad choice, but...
Razor finishes Aghanim Scepter. AA very close to finishing his as well.
This is a farmed Razor.
Yeah, the farm. Look at the net worth. Top 4 in the game are on Mouse Sports, and the AA, who's third to last, almost has Aghanim. So, not looking good for PR. They still have really good team fights, so I guess you can never count them out in that regard. But
they need to take them, though. That's like the problem. We're not seeing the team fights breaking out. every single time it's Mouz getting the initiation off an Ice Blast and Puck, they just take a pick off. So they're already outnumbering PR, and then most of the times PR either get another hero caught out or they just never get the team fight. I think they need to try to be more aggressive. They need to try to find the action here themselves by smoking out, because else Mouz just keep doing their thing. They get the good snipes off and have great control of this game so far. And Ember, by the way, is getting another Battle Fury.
Either that or it's a look. Oh, nice initiation on the Misery. He gets ward trapped completely. FNG's probably going to go down here with nice blink. Ravage to follow. AA ult's actually going to miss for once. And Enigma will be the first to fall. It will be a trade for Shadow Shaman, but they'll take that in day of the week. Obviously, MSS getting into there. We're seeing a Panda ult. Was that actually an Aghanim Scepter Brewmaster ult? Alright, so he has double clap action. MSS almost dead here. Cheshire Cat's able to get the kill, but the right click from Pycat will finish him off in turn. So 2 for 2, as there's the Sprout, and Lich will be killed by Pycat, who's right-clicking so hard at this point. Dreamcoil is going to be used on the, I believe that's a defensive measure here, is Pycat and Fata. He's going to use his Dagon, and it's going to force Ember Spirit out. And now Scandal, of course, without his ult, not as big of a threat. Ends up being a fairly even. Actually, no, that's definitely PR's way. The 2 cores weren't killed. So
this is what I've been waiting for pretty much the entire game from PR. They finally did it, but the question is if it's too late. They did manage to group up. They got a good initiation with the Shadow Shaman Ward Trap. Brewmaster had a huge impact in that team fight. They need to do more of this all the time. Even though Mouz came out slightly ahead as far as net worth goes, this is the way to come back in the game. If you do not keep doing this, you will just get out-farmed. Well, with all the ultimates on cooldown, perhaps Mouz just... They feel confident they can snipe this Roche. I don't know if PR scouted this out somehow. It does not look like they have any clue.
Well, there's a ward here, so they saw a blink in, but the question is, do they actually want...
Oh, Tide.
To do anything about this?
He is thinking about it.
He doesn't have Ravage, so
he's going in.
Oh, he goes in with the Anchor Smash. He might find. Oh, he's gonna force that back out. That looked hilarious. And actually, Mouse might want to get out of here. Malefice upon Lich. There's Scandal getting initiated on. Doesn't have his ulti. Right clicks will suffice. As Pycat and company are gonna take out the Lich as well. And Anchor Smashing Tidehunter's gonna get completely black holed into the Sprout. That is like double AoE action in there. Triple kill going the way of Fata. This is a free Roche. 30-11. Mouse Sports is just rolling away with this victory. That's his, well, oncoming victory, I guess.
Yeah, if Brewmaster had a split there, that could have actually been quite a bit different. But Mouz taking advantage of the fact that the cooldowns on PR are pretty long. Both Ravage and Primal Split were unavailable. And they claim that Roche as well as 3 kills. So looking very, very good for them. The question is, can they break high ground? MSS says yes. Let's use the level 3 ultimate together with Ags. This tower is falling very, very quickly.
To say the least. Yep, Misery blinks in, scares the crap out of Rasta, who blinks in turn. Of course, we haven't talked about the blink on Shadow Shaman as of yet. Amazing initiation possibilities, but when they're this far behind, I'm not sure how much of a difference it'll make. As this should be a clean rack. Actually, MSS might have to back up here. No, they're gonna get the full racks. Despite PR having their full lineup now back, they're gonna, well, the Aegis is still up. Lincoln's now an Enigma, so I guess really worried about that Chain Frost and not too much about the Ravage. Of course, like I was talking about, Tidehunter, in a lot of cases, like if there's an RP or something like that, you can always count on Kraken Shell, but with Black Hole, that's not the case. So, but he still has to worry about Brewmaster Whirlwind if he gets his ult off.
Moon. I think Fata might try for this one. Might seem ridiculous, but
it doesn't seem ridiculous when you have AA ult with Dagon. Works pretty well.
And he has the
He's gonna blink out just fine. Is this a Aghanim's AA yet?
Yes.
Okay, so
it is. Dagon
AA ult. It's a pretty dirty combination. The Midnight Pulse is ridiculous range. He's gonna take the full damage from Plasma Field. Oh, he's gonna get his Ravage off. It's gonna hit quite a few heroes. Here comes the Chain Frost to follow. AA ult on its way though. It's gonna hit 2. Tidehunter blows up. Shortly thereafter, Lich will probably go down to the right click with MSS and company. And this is looking like a very quick GG. 33-11 for Mouse Sports. Scandal getting sheeped. GG's come out. Mouse Sports just looking really strong. Really strong this qualifier so far.
Yeah, they've played to their lineup strengths in this game for sure. They analyzed the situation very well, did exactly what they need to do, got the snipe ops, kept playing around the map, just seemed like they were bullying PR around the map the whole time, so PR didn't get to play their team fight. But at the same time, I think PR made the, I don't know if I would call it the desperation play, but they found the one team fight that they needed quite a bit too late.
Too
Could
late,
have probably been more aggressive around the map, tried to smoke up, tried to gather and gank someone, but Mouz were just one step ahead the whole game. I think excellent performance in this game from Pass and Fata and Pycat. Together, the trio of heroes just set up so many kills. And even though Enigma had a solid performance, it just, you know, you can't really... Everyone on Mouz played a solid game, but Enigma doesn't even get to shine in this game because of how much work the other heroes are doing. Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
I feel like teams just are not respecting Mouz, particularly with their Ancient Apparition. They, almost every dominant win they have, it's on the back of this hero. They run it with Mirana and tri-lanes, they run it with the Fata Puck, finding pickoffs around the map. He likes the Dagon build, not just because he's Fata, but because he's got Poss normally backing him up on Ancient Apparition, and they just use the combo so well. I'm surprised teams, to me, if you're playing against Mouz, unless you have a very specific game plan, you should be banning Mirana and Ancient Apparition the first phase, or you should be banning one and picking the other.
Well, the funny thing is, Mouz banned Mirana themselves this time, which is really weird. I was not expecting
What was
that.
Their first pick? I'm guessing it was the Ancient Apparition?
Yes.
Yeah. They've been doing this for weeks now. Like it's not like a new special tactic they've just unveiled. But the other thing I want to mention is PR. Scandal has games like this where he just disappears. Like you were asking Sin, where's Scandal? He's not showing up to team fights, and it's not the first time. I feel like if the game goes poorly, I don't know if he goes on tilt or if it's just miscommunication, but he just doesn't come to fights, and then when he shows up, the game's often over. So
what do you guys think about his? Forget about this game.
That doesn't work on Panda.
His Brewmaster in general, what do you think about? Have you seen a lot of Brewmaster on him? Because I feel like 95% of the games that I watch of him are Invoker every single time.
I honestly didn't get to watch his Brewmaster that closely this game, but you have to come to fights as this hero. This hero's not designed to split push and farm. Like sometimes if he plays TA or Invoker and he's not coming to fights, like okay, you can kind of understand these heroes can do a lot from afar, especially if you're an Exhort Invoker, but you can't do that on Brewmaster. Like, it just doesn't work. And their draft was tied Brewmaster, Lich, Shadow Shaman. Like, that team is meant to just crush fights 4v5. Ember Spirit shows up, cleans up, and you farm on the Ember, not on the Panda. I don't know.
I think there's just so much aggression from Mouz, they didn't know what to do. They were on the back foot the entire game with
it is
global.
Tough. Like, that was just everywhere. That was tough. And they also didn't have a ton of lockdown for Puck. They had Shadow Shaman, but he didn't have a Blink Dagger until the game was practically over. And outside of that, like, where's your reliable lockdown for Puck? They just didn't have it. So once he gets ahead and you're not able to just deathball at them, then he just gets out of control. I think against this team, you either ban Ancient Apparition or you pick it. And along with that, Mirana. I think those are the two key heroes for Mouz right now. Or and if you're not going to do it, you need a very specific game plan that punishes the weak points.
I think PR had elements in their draft here that made a lot of sense. Like the AA, Razor, dual lane bottom, they got full XP and gold out of that with the Lich Tidehunter. Tide was off to a great start. I think they had the tools they needed to take the mid-game team fights where, sure, AA ult is great for those team fights, but if you spread out nicely, maybe he only hits one or two targets. It was more the fact that Mouz got to control the flow of the game instead of PR forcing something around the map. Then the AA gets really strong because he just keeps finding one free kill after the other. If you're the ones initiating, you... Well, with that offlane they ran with the Tidehunter, he could have had a really early blink. He chose to go for Arcane Boots. I'm not sure that was the right call. He could have maybe had a Blink Dagger like, I don't know, 9 or 10 minutes. Lich was going for an Ag Scepter in this game. I feel like that item is generally pretty underwhelming on this hero, at least in really high competitive play.
I think
he could have had a mech instead, for example, for his team.
Yeah.
And didn't get that. And then
I think the main reason for getting Ags, though, is for the range, to cancel the black hole. But it's still...
it's normally enough on the regular ult, I would say.
I would agree.
I think even just the Force Staff, mech maybe not the... It still can be good against H Apparition, maybe not the best, but at least like a Force Staff, some sort of utility for the team.
The problem is they're not supposed to be forced into a position where they need to get this kind of BKB breaking sick ultimate from Lich. They just need to play their lineup to its strengths, and that's exactly what Mouz did.
I think that's kind of the issue for PR though. Is this? I don't know if this is really a PR draft. Like to me, when they're at their best, it's when Scandal is on Invoker, TA, Shadow Fiend, and he just snowballs. He crushes his lane, and he takes over the game. And not to say he can't play a good brew, but I mean, it didn't. He felt very quiet this game. And you normally don't want to say that about Scandal. He's an explosive player. It's almost like, you know, when Navi will give Dendi DK, and he plays a fine Dragon Knight, and sometimes it works, but it's like, this isn't really Dendi's strength.
Yeah, and I guess it's perhaps Scandal and Arteezy a little bit share that trait, that they are really good with farm-intensive mid-heroes, whereas if you put them on tempo controllers, they will just intuitively be looking for farm at times when you should be looking for fights.
I think that's maybe what it comes back to, is not even him raging or just bad communication, it's just his playstyle. He's used to playing those heroes. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, that's going to wrap up not our last game, but we're getting closer to the end of the day. We've got 2 more matches coming up here on the main stream. I believe it will be He versus PR, followed by MYM versus VP. We also do have some other streams going on. You can check out the upstairs stream at twitch.tv/BeyondTheSummit2 or the lounge stream at twitch.tv/BeyondTheSummit3. With that being said, you've been watching the International 4 qualifiers. This is Europe, right? Yeah, this is Europe. I wanted to say the North American qualifiers, North American hub. The European qualifiers, North American hub, presented by Monster. Sunsfan, Cinderin. You can follow them on Twitter, of course, twitter.com/SunsFanTV/CinderInDota. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.